दो गज की दूरी, मास्क है जरूरी. So good evening everyone. Corona is again rising very fast, and this mask has become very important. It has become a part and parcel of this life, right? But anyway, in the classroom, remove the mask and then go for the description. So today we are into the second class of environment and ecology, right? So I hope you all are safe and doing well, right? So yesterday we had first class where I gave you overview of the syllabus, and we started with the topic of ecosystem, and today we'll continue with the discussion. Now yesterday I gave you a handout, right, where you have all the description regarding the ecosystem. Today I am going to use a PowerPoint where that PowerPoint has been uploaded to you. It will be based on food chain, food web, pyramid, and all those concepts which we have just brought on the flow chart on yesterday's class. I will be continuing with that. We'll also see previous year question paper. We'll also see what type of questions have been asked in the exam. We'll review the questions to understand the nature and the standard of the questions asked in the UPSC civil service exam. All right. So let us go into the topic here. So since we are going to go into the functions of ecosystem, so one by one we'll cover that. Yesterday I have discussed in the classroom. It will come to your handout there. All of you who have joined now and not aware, please download the handout. Today again in your login page you have a handout. Please download it, because I will be putting the reference to that handout in between as I keep on discussing concepts one by one. I have also mentioned in the classroom that if you look at from the entire syllabus point of view, right? If you take from the syllabus of environment ecology, you can divide into broad 5 topics. There are 5 broad topics are there. There are 5 broad topics are there. The first broad topic which comes from ecological concepts there. Right? Particularly in terms of the concept regarding the ecological system or ecosystem. Right, that's one part comes into that. If you just review the previous year question paper, hardly 1 or 2 questions have been asked in the exam. In prelims exam, multiple choice question, 1 or 2 questions will be there. Food chain, food web, there have been questions in the year 2011, 12 and 13, 14. But now the UPSC is not asking such questions. Now what is important for the examination is this one: biological diversity and the biodiversity topic. Nowadays, like the year past 5 years examination, you'll find continuously UPSC has asked questions on biological diversity. Biodiversity becomes a very important topic. Now what are things comes into biodiversity? The first thing which comes here, that is the meaning. What do you mean by the term biodiversity? Values of biodiversity, what importance biodiversity serves to us. Then apart from that, threats and loss to biodiversity. Then in this context comes the conservation of biodiversity, that is a in situ conservation and ex situ, within the habitat and outside the habitat of organism there. Then comes here in terms of conservation, I have discussed yesterday also there that you have to go through the conventions, right? Then you have to go into the acts, policies, programs which are linked with wildlife and at the same time in terms of conservation of biological diversity. We have 2 legal framework, Biodiversity Act 2002, and for wildlife we have Wildlife Protection Act 1972, right? Even there are some protected areas network like national parks, sanctuaries and wetlands, mangroves, coral reefs, right? Even you'll come across questions with respect to hotspot, biodiversity hotspots and all this. We'll cover those topics. Here you'll find questions. If you look at around, you'll find here 6 questions, like 6 to 7 questions are from current aspect and the factual part on the biodiversity part, right? Then the third broad topic which comes here, that is in terms of global warming and climate change. Right? Here you will find around 2 to 3 questions. 2 to 3 questions in the prelims exam, multiple choice question pre-exam, you come across 2 to 3 questions on climate change part. Like here, for example, what are topics comes into that? Greenhouse effect. Greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, sulfur hexafluoride. Right, then global warming. What do you mean by the term global warming? Right. Then climate change impacts, sea level rise, extreme weather event, right, loss to biodiversity, health impact, all those kind of impacts. And there's one very important report called IPCC report, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, which is a UN body, which comes out to be the scientific understanding about the climate change and climate change impacts. And you know that if the Earth's temperature by the end of the century goes beyond 2 degrees Celsius, it will have a catastrophic effect. There's something called tipping point, if it crosses the tipping point. 2 degrees Celsius as compared to pre-industrial level. So IPCC reports bring about such highlights, right? Then comes here global effort, UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is a UN convention brought in Rio de Janeiro Earth Summit in 1992, where climate change, to fight climate change, this is the international kind of a multilateral agreement, United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. Then comes here, within that, Kyoto Protocol. Developed industrialized countries, there is a Kyoto Protocol to cut down the emissions. Then in terms of what comes here, Paris Agreement, 2015 in France, COP21, Conference of Parties 21st. This agreement has been brought, and now it has started from 2021, Paris Agreement has been started. Kyoto has ended by 2020. Now with respect to carbon market, here there is a concept of carbon credit, carbon CDM, Clean Development Mechanism. So we are doing in India also there. Then India's action plan on climate change, NAPCC, National Action Plan on Climate Change, and now with the Paris Agreement, NDC, India's NDC, Nationally Determined Contribution. Like 40% cumulative power generation coming from non-fossil fuel, solar, wind and all will come into that. Growing the forest 2.5 billion tons to 3 billion tons carbon capture with the help of forestry. Clean technology development. So we have a commitment under Paris Agreement, what is called NDCs. I'm just giving you the overview again. What are the broad topics on which UPSC asks question in the pre-exam. So there will be current topics also linked with that. Then comes in environmental issues and problems. Environmental pollution and whatever the concerns and issues are there, right? Again you will find questions with respect to 2 to 3. I'm giving just the range of the question which can be asked. Now what are the topics there? Like for example, air pollution, land pollution, air pollution, water pollution, right, soil or land pollution, then e-waste, hazardous waste, biomedical waste, solid waste, all this kind of waste generation and how we take care of such kind of waste generation, right, the rules on that. Along with that, all the pollution aspect, the impact policies, then acts, what are the government policies for abatement of pollution, Environment Protection Act, Air Pollution Act 1981, Water Pollution Act 1974, all this comes into. Then you have a statutory bodies, CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, State Pollution Control Boards. Then NGT, National Green Tribunal, NGT. a quasi-judicial body to adjudicate matters related to pollution and the environment at a faster rate. That is, the NGT has been formed in 2010. Then along with that, whatever government initiatives are there, Bharat Stage, or let's say Air Quality Index, SAFAR, right, whatever the initiatives have been taken there. Based on that, UPSC can ask question on that, right? Then ozone layer, ozone depletion, stratospheric ozone depletion, acid rain, acidification, smog, all the desertification. It can be anywhere. Based on this topic, question can be asked. And then comes here the main exam topic. You have EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment, right? EIA is the main exam topic. In GS3 paper you have that. Whereas this one, ecological concepts. Ecological concepts is purely pre-exam. Is a purely prelim exam topic, where the ecosystem concept, food chain, today we are going to cover that. Food chain, food web, right, pyramid, carbon cycle, water cycle, nitrogen cycle, right, nutrient cycles of that. There's all this concept which comes there. Biotic interaction, biological interaction, right. All this part comes into just prelims exam. But this area, biological diversity, is both pre and main. Global warming, climate change, both pre and main. Right? Environmental pollution in this part, this is both pre-exam and the main exam. Whereas EIA is only the main examination. So here what comes here, in terms of the EIA rules, we have existing rules 2006, and now the government has come out with a draft of EIA rules 2020. This draft has been prepared. So what comes very important, what is the policy? What does the EIA mean? Meaning, implementation, challenges, issues, that you have to write in the main examination. Right? In subjective answer writing, that comes into. So what is EIA? Then stages of environmental clearance, how the project like mining or any kind of infrastructure project, like environmental clearance, how the environmental clearance mechanism work, right? Clearance mechanism work in India, right? What are the challenges and issues there? In terms of having environmental clearance of the project, what are the various challenges and issues there, right? So these are the 5 broad topics which covers the entire syllabus of the UPSC exam on environment and ecology, right? Since we have started yesterday with a very basic area in terms of ecological concept, but we will be going to all those advanced topics, right? What are the important areas? The important areas are biological diversity, global warming, climate change, and pollution part. But for any examination, whichever exam you appear, you must be aware of the fundamental ecological concept. That's what I have started from here. You must know the direction of the class. What direction a teacher will teach in the classroom, you must be familiar with that. So I have started from here, ecological concept. Once we are done with the topics, we will move to the biodiversity. After biodiversity, we will discuss about climate change. After climate change, we will discuss about pollution and water issues. And the last, we will end up the class with the EIA. Right? So total number of classes which we have to go through, there's around 12 to 13 classes, where I will be covering the syllabus part. Alright? So I'm just giving a recap. I'm just giving you a recap of what I discussed yesterday in the beginning of the classroom, because there may be some of the students who do not have joined there. So just to make you aware that environment and ecology as a subject, these 5 broad areas will be taught in the classroom. I will be going through all these topics in the classroom. So you have a very clear understanding how we are proceeding in the classroom. You are able to link the topics one by one. Right? Clear there? And I said that you have to always get back to, you have to always see the previous year question paper. You will always review the previous year questions. For the pre-exam, you have to look from 2011 till 2020, but now 2021 exam will be conducted in the month of June, 27 June. So you will get to know what the 2021 paper has got, the question there. And in the main examination, you must review from 2013, when the new pattern of the main exam was introduced, GS3 paper where you have environment question, and then 2020. And here in the pre-exam you have paper 1. You have to bring about the current aspect. You have to always link current topics. I have already demonstrated in yesterday's class how to go about current aspects. How to link the syllabus with the current aspects. I have already covered in the previous class. Right? So just again to start with the subject, I am again bringing it very clear because this is a big batch. The strength of this batch is more. The many students are the part of this batch. So being the second class, you are at least familiar of the syllabus part and what I am going to discuss in the classroom. One by one, whatever I will cover in the classroom, whatever I will teach in the classroom. You are very clear that the direction of the topics, how the one topic will lead to the next. If you know that clarity, if you have that clarity, it will be easy for you to link. Topic by topic you will be able to link. Right? Sources I have already said that. Vision IAS classroom study material recently has been prepared by the content team. That is more than sufficient. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. If you have not got, you will get it. Vision IAS will provide you that material. For time being, right? For time being, what I am doing in the classroom is that I am uploading some reference study material, something for you to read, right? So that after the class you have something to read, something to go back there. That I am trying to give you from my own side. All right. So let me start with the subject here. Okay, the marks, if you ask me, the marks here, see in pre-exam, if you look at the question there are around 15 questions are there. So 30 marks, 25 to 30 marks. 12 to 15 questions are there. You will find 12 questions to 15 questions. That means 25 to 30 marks. Right? This covers in pre-exam 25 to 30 marks. From 12 to 15 questions are asked. Every question in the pre-exam you have 2 marks. So around 25 to 30 marks is covered by environment ecology. In the main examination, on the other hand, in the main exam, you have around 3 questions there, 150 to 200 words. So you can take around 12.5 to, again here, around 35 to 40 marks. That will be main examination. Tanvi is asking that how many marks the environment ecology subject covers. In the pre-exam, generally 12 to 15 multiple choice questions are asked and each question carries 2 marks. So that is a range of 24 to 30 marks. Where in the main examination GS3 paper, there are around 2 to 3 questions are there. So I am giving a range of 35-40 marks. That again depend. It may be 4 questions. Sometimes in other paper, GS1 paper, another paper linked with geography, environment questions are asked. Like what is cryosphere? Cryosphere, third pole, Himalayan glacier, polar areas. That was asked in geography. Climate change. Topics are now being asked linked with geography. One is that purely environment ecology question, which you write in the main examination. And sometimes environment ecology will be linked with other areas of general studies. So on an average 35 to 40 marks. Right? So, so let us now go through the topic there. I am very clear that I have again repeated what I discussed in the classroom there, and we will now move to the topics there one by one. We'll go to the topic there. All right. So we will be covering all these topics. Whatever I've written, I will be teaching in the classroom there. All right. So now another thing is that whatever I write on the whiteboard, you just try to write it down. At the same time, I'll provide you through the handout and the PowerPoint. The different mechanisms will be there. All right. And explanation part I'll be doing on the whiteboard. I'll be teaching you through the whiteboard and putting across the explanation part of it. Okay, what I'll do here, let me start with the functions of ecosystem. Right, whatever we have discussed yesterday, let's have a quick recap also there. So what I've done here, so let us now go into that. It will come to your screen. Today the handout which has been uploaded here. So let us now have a quick recap and something on that, then I'll come back to on the whiteboard. So yesterday I have mentioned, what is ecology? Ecology is the interaction in the environment. Right? This we have discussed in the classroom. Interaction among living organisms and interaction of living organisms with its non-living surrounding and environment. That makes the ecology. Ecology as the subject. Right? Now ecology as a subject, this subject we can bring into the two divisions are there. Two broad divisions. Right? The two broad divisions are there. First broad division is horticology. Right? And second division is synecology. Right? There are two broad classification of the subject of ecology. Horticology, synecology. Now horticology deals with the species. Here, that is with respect to species. It deals with species and population. Here it is focused on the species perspective. A tiger or lion or rhinoceros, on those perspective, that is called horticology. Whereas synecology, that focus from the community perspective. That is in terms of biotic community. Right, it is based on biotic community and ecosystem study there. Right. So what is the synecology? Synecology focus from biological communities, communities of plants and animals, and even the microorganisms and the ecological system point of view. Whereas horticology study from the point of species, population and their interaction part of it. We have already discussed in the classroom that the word ecology, right, this has come from the word oikology. Right, oikology, which was given by Ernst Haeckel there. It was given by a German scientist, Dr. Ernst Haeckel, who came forward with the concept of oikology. And from there the English word ecology has been derived. We have also discussed in the yesterday's class environment. What is an environment? Environment is the surrounding. What is environment? Environment is the surrounding. When we use the word environment, we are referring to surrounding. Surrounding of a living organism, right? The surroundings of an organism that affect life and development. That is what called as the environment. Right? Environment refers to surroundings of a living organism, right, which consists of both living and non-living, biotic and abiotic. Right? Components there. Now see here, biotic features. Biotic features are all living things. What is very important here? Biotic features are all living things. All living things in the biosphere. That is a biotic aspect of that. And yesterday I mentioned that What is biosphere? Biosphere is all parts of the earth, is all the parts of the earth that supports life. And in this context, yesterday we have discussed one very important hypothesis called as the Gaia hypothesis. Right? Yesterday in the classroom we have discussed the concept of Gaia theory or Gaia hypothesis. Earth is a living entity. Earth is a living entity, right? We call it a living planet. Here we refer Earth as a living planet. Right? Millions of living organisms who are the part of the Earth. And Gaia hypothesis is the self-regulation, self-sustaining, which sustains life. I have also said here, yesterday's class, that biosphere measures approximately 20 km thick or 12.4 miles. Within this 20 km thickness, most of the life on Earth exists from 500 meters below the surface of the sea and ocean and about 6 kilometers above the sea level. The entire range is 20 kilometers. Deepest part of the ocean till the highest area of the mountain, 20 kilometers. That is the layer what we call biosphere. But where the most of the living organisms are found, most of the living organisms are found 500 meters below sea level up to 6 kilometers above mean sea level. This we have discussed in the yesterday's class. I am just doing the revision. I am just recapping what we have covered in yesterday's class. And the earth being a living entity, this one, right? So what we find here, we will find most of the textbooks will give you a kind of image, will give you a kind of a diagram where you have interconnected part of the biosphere with the atmosphere, lithosphere, hydrosphere. Right? So what we can say here is that we can simply bring about here. We can simply bring about here in this context is that we can simply say that we have atmosphere, right? Then the land mass, lithosphere, right? And then we have aquatic bodies, both fresh water and then ocean, hydrosphere. These three spheres, right? What you have studied in geography: atmosphere, air mass, lithosphere, land mass, continents, hydrosphere, water bodies, and then oceans, marine area there. They all are interconnected. They are all interconnected. They are not separated. They are all interconnected together. And everywhere we find life. Life on the land, life on the air, life on the water, life below water, you find everywhere. So the biosphere, when you say biosphere, biosphere is the connecting point of all the three, right? Which encompass all three. That's where the biosphere comes, right? Because living organisms are found on the land also, air also, water also. That's where the most of the textbooks will give you this kind of understanding of biosphere part of it, right? We have covered that. Then I have given you yesterday we have discussed about levels of organization. We have discussed about levels of organization part of it. What I said here, hierarchical study, or what we refer to as holism. Holism is the subject in the subject of ecology. Right? Holism in ecology. And I have said that there are various layers of studies are there. Right? The various aspect of study comes into that. This I have already given you the last class, the revision. Right? Now here, see what is comes into that. First comes what? Atoms. Carbon, nitrogen, sulfur, right? All those kind of atoms what comes here, right? Hydrogen and all. And then comes what? Molecule. like biomolecule, carbohydrate, proteins, DNA, RNA. Then comes what? Cell, the fundamental unit of life, right? Cell is the fundamental unit of life, what you have studied in biology class. Right? Now, a group of cells performing a function, that is a tissue. Tissue makes organ, organ makes body system, and body system makes an organism. For example, elephant. And I have mentioned that when we use the organism, we use the word species. What is species? Species is the taxonomic unit, is used for classification. It is used taxonomic unit in biology. Kingdom, phylum, family, right? Kingdom, order, genus, species, all these are taxonomic unit. And you know that any organism is based on interbreeding capacity. That based on interbreeding capacity comes. Now organism is a part of the population. Individuals of same species inhabiting a geographical area, that is called as population. Right? And population makes the community. The next, what comes community? Like here, animal community. You have elephant, you have a giraffe, you have a deer, you have a tree. All different types of animal species found in a given geographical area, that makes a animal community. All types of grasses, plants, trees in a given geographical area makes a plant community. If we take all types of plant species, all types of animal species, all types of bacteria, fungi, they make the biotic community. Then we have discussed in the classroom that the community makes the ecosystem. The broader unit is the ecosystem. What is ecosystem? Ecosystem is biotic community, biological community, right? Together with their environment, together with non-living environment, together with environment. And environment is surrounding, which consists of both living and non-living. Plus, what is very important here? Biotic community together with the environment plus interaction. You are also talking about interaction. Ecosystem has got biological kind of interaction. There is also interaction there. And who gave the concept of ecosystem? You know that the scientist who brought this concept is Arthur George Tansley. 1935, Arthur George Tansley, he forwarded the concept of ecosystem. Biotic communities, biological community together with the surrounding, the environment, that is the ecosystem with the interaction. And that was given by Arthur George Tansley. Right? Then what comes here, that ecosystem makes a landscape, landscape makes a biome, and the last what comes the biosphere. The living sphere or biosphere. And when you say biosphere, so what is biosphere made up of? Biosphere is made up of terrestrial biomes and also oceans, that is formed of marine biomes. Marine biomes together with terrestrial biomes. Terrestrial biomes, land based, consist of forest biome, desert biome, grassland biomes, freshwater biome, and then marine biome all together. That makes the earth as a biosphere. This we have already discussed. This we have already covered in yesterday's class. Right? This is in your handout. Your handout already has this all one. Right? Right? This already I have given in the handout there. Alright? Then coming to here, this one. When we see the living world, we find producers. Who are the producers? What do you mean by the term producers? In the living world, producers are basically what? They are autotrophs. In biology, we call autotrophs. What is autotrophs? Which can prepare their own food. Who are the producers? Producers are autotrophs, which can prepare their own food, right? Which can make their own food. What are the example here? Let's say plant, flowering plant. Then you have even, let's say this one, grasses and all this, right? But even you will find there are certain type of bacteria. There are certain type of bacteria which are not photosynthetic, but they are capable of synthesizing their own food through chemical means. So let's say, for example, let's say, I'll come to the part. Let's say you get a question in the exam, right? Let me ask a question there. Let's say you get a question in the examination that, and this is the way the UPSC can ask question, or any examination you could get question there, right? Let me put a question here on the whiteboard and let me see how well you can give the answer here. Let's say a question is like this one. The question is this one. I am asking a very direct question. Which of following is or are producers? Producer or producers, right? Producer or producers, or let me write the complete one, producer or producers of an ecosystem. Sometimes in the exam, the question may be very direct. Let's say this is the question and I am giving the option here. Number 1, nostoc. Number 2, let's say for example, thiobacillus, right? Number 3, green plants, right? See, a question setter can give you any example. It can be any kind of example given there. And let's say you have an option here. One and two, 2 and 3, 3 only, and let's say here 1, 2 and 3. What will be answer here? What shall be the answer? Producers of an ecosystem. What are producers? Which can make their own food, which can prepare their own food. What shall be the answer here? Let me see your answer. Let's say you get a question of this kind in the exam, right, and you are given such kind of example. So what will be the answer here? Many are giving the answer C, then I'm getting B, 3 only. Many are giving the answer 3 only there. I'm getting all the mixed answer. That's what I said. If there was a voting meter here, I could have got all the response in the graph. How many are giving A or B or C or D, right? But then I don't have that means to give you in a graph your score. But let's say there's a question here. See, I'm teaching you a very, simple topic. I have started the class of environment ecology with a very simple topic. Not very complicated topic. I have started from a very, very small level. Advanced topics will come very soon. But I am starting with a very basic level of understanding, which I am trying to make you understand in the class. Okay, now let's look at here. You have given me very mixed response. D, C, B, right? 3 only, all these answers I have got there. But let's say, when you get such question, what shall be your approach? Let's say you get a direct question. Just try to understand. You have to always remember that. See, what I'm trying to do in the classroom is that when you study any theory, just try to understand. When you are studying any kind of theory aspect of that, you should ask question. You should ask question to yourself, right? Asking questions is very, very important. And getting the answer through the question, you will remember the theory part. You will be able to remember the concept. So let's understand here. Let's understand here. If you get a question like this one, you first ask yourself, what is nostoc? What is nostoc? Nostoc is a class of cyanobacteria. It belongs to the class of cyanobacteria. Nostoc, Anabena, the symbiotic cyanobacteria, or this is also called as blue-green algae. It is also called in biology as blue-green algae. What is called as that? Blue-green algae. Nostoc, Anabena. Now this blue-green algae or a type of bacteria called cyanobacteria is capable of doing photosynthesis. So this is basically a photosynthetic bacteria. Is basically photosynthetic bacteria. Just like green plant, nostoc is able to carry out the photosynthesis. Nostoc, Anabena, azolla plant, azolla, a fern, and nostoc is able to carry out photosynthesis, trap the sunlight, and has got the pigment, chlorophyll pigment, and is able to make the synthesize the carbohydrate, glucose. Producers are what? Producers are those organisms which can make their own food. One is correct. Now thiobacillus. Thiobacillus is a sulfur bacteria. It is found in the sulfur spring. It is a sulfur bacteria which is found in hot sulfur spring. Sulfur bacteria. And what type of bacteria is a chemosynthetic? Is a chemosynthetic bacteria. Which uses chemical reactions, right? And then hydrogen sulfate can work on that and get the energy. Producers do not mean only plant. Producers do not mean only green plants or trees and plants of that. Thiobacillus is also correct. Is a chemosynthetic bacteria found in the sulfur springs and is also capable of getting its own energy source. Now green plant, as you all know, they're capable of doing photosynthesis. So the answer is D. D for Delhi. What is the answer? Answer is a D. D for Delhi. The answer will be here D. All of these are correct. Those of you who have given me answer D, all 1, 2, 3, right? Pat yourself. Congratulate yourself that you have given correct answer. But those who have given me wrong answer, many of you have given me answer 3 only. Many of you, most of the answers, I got 3 only. This is how you will be caught in the exam. What you think correct may not always be correct, unless until you have a good knowledge of that, thorough knowledge of that. Correct? Unless until we don't have the knowledge, you will not be able to get the correct answer. And factual question, either you know or you don't know. Factual question, either you know or you don't know. Right? Either you are aware or you are not aware. You cannot make guesswork. Right? So, I hope that this has clarified your part of that. Right? It has clarified the part of it. And it's a very factual question. I am asking a very factual question. Right? Now let's look at here. I'll further come to that one. Let me again come back to the part of the screen here. So on the slide, I have given you the examples of producers. There's also one more type of producers called phytoplanktons. 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 Planktons are those species which cannot swim. They can only float on the surface of water. Algae or algae can only float on the water. Phyto means plant. They contain pigment. And there's one type of phytoplankton called diatom. Diatom. And they're also capable of doing photosynthesis. All right. So now let's come to this part of producers here. Right, the producers part of it, which I've given on the slide here. Right. So when you talk about producers, the producers can be two types. Either it can be photosynthetic, at the same time can be chemosynthetic. It can be both photosynthetic as well as chemosynthetic. Now if you see further, diatoms. They are microscopic, they are very, very small, they are microscopic, and they belong to a class called as a phytoplanktons. They are found in the water bodies and particularly in the sea and ocean, and they are capable of doing photosynthesis. They can carry out photosynthesis. And diatom is a producer. Is example of producer which can carry out the photosynthesis and can prepare the food. They are small size. They are very, very small size, like tiny size, and marine ecosystem you will find such diatoms will be there. They are capable. Phyto means plant. They contain pigment, and they are capable of doing photosynthesis. Red Sea. Red Sea is red in color because of the red algae, or what you call diatoms. Right? So here, what you see there, I'll just zoom out. This is how it looks like under microscope. Sometimes the larva or early stages of aquatic organism may also be planktonic. They may also be phytoplanktons. This is how it looks like. I'm showing you the photograph so that you will remember phytoplanktons are those type of species. They are very, very minute. They are very, very small. They are microscopic, cannot be seen easily with naked eyes. And they give color to the water, green, red color of the water because of their growth. They grow in a large numbers, and because of the pigment, it gives color to the water. Right? This is how the looks like there. Early stages of the marine species, they may also be in terms of planktons and diatoms part. And in a food chain, phytoplanktons are eaten by zooplanktons, which cannot make food. They are like animals. They feed on phytoplanktons. And zooplankton will be eaten by small fish and then big fish. So here you have this. Then coming here, consumers. What are consumers? Consumers are those species which cannot prepare food. They are heterotrophs. They are heterotrophs. Right? They are heterotrophs who cannot make their own food, cannot synthesize their own food, and they depend on producer for the energy. But there are different types of consumers. Now let's look at the part of it. For example, here, a deer. You all know that. It is a herbivore or primary consumer, first level of consumer. Then you know that this one, a wolf or what? Now this is the carnivore, secondary consumer, right? Then there are certain type of consumer like turtle, right? Turtle is found in fresh water. Turtle is also found in the marine or marine at the same time. Turtles are also found in the fresh water, and turtles are omnivores. Just like human being, as a human being, turtles are also omnivore. They can feed on the aquatic plants. At the same time, turtles can also feed jellyfish, the aquatic animal also. They are large in size. They are omnivores. But again, you know that certain type of here, like a mushroom, right? Fungi or mushroom, which break down the dead organic matter, or even the living tree, you will find this fungi growing on that, mushroom and all growing there. There is something called detritus, dead organic matter and all, but again, so there also comes into that, right? So now if you see here, scavengers, now what comes here? Scavengers. What are scavengers? See, when you talk about mushroom, right, mushrooms and this part, they are called saprophytes. They are called fungi and all is called saprophyte. Right, saprophyte. And they break down the organic molecules into simpler ones and get the energy. But again, when you say scavengers, scavengers feed. They feed as consumer. They are consumers. They feed on dead animals. So they are basically consumers. They belong to the class of consumers. They feed on dead animals. For example, vulture. Vultures, or you'll find those type of which feed on the dead animals, carcass of the dead animals. Then you know that flies, right? Then you can see here hyena. Oh, hyena. Lakadbagha, right? Hyenas. Right, comes into that part. Then in terms of sometimes the mouse or some kind of mold can be there. Right? We use the word marine or ocean or sea. Ocean seas are called to be marine. The word term uses marine. Right? Now decomposers. Which are decomposers? Now there is a difference between the scavengers and decomposers. Scavengers are consumers which feed on dead animals. But what are decomposers? They break down organic matter into simpler one and then absorb it. Like here, what are decomposers? Decomposers are basically, they break down. Is break down organic molecules, organic matters. Right? Organic matter using enzyme. They use enzymes. Biological catalysts or enzymes. They use enzymes and they break down the organic matter. A very good example is bacteria. Then fungi. Not virus. Not virus. Virus is not a decomposer. Virus will not call as a decomposer. Why virus is not a decomposer? Bacteria, fungi are decomposer because bacteria and fungi, they use enzymes and they break down the bigger molecules, organic molecule, into simpler one. But viruses don't have enzyme. Virus, you know, virus is found between living and non-living. It's the border between non-living and living. Viruses are between living and non-living. When it enters the host, then the virus multiply, like coronavirus or hepatitis virus or HIV virus, whichever virus you take about. Right, take this example there. And what another thing? And virus does not contain and does not have any enzyme. Virus does not have any enzyme to break down the organic molecule. Virus, as it enters the host, plant, animal, or even bacteria, it just hijacks the cellular machinery to multiply and create viral particles. Virus will never break down organic molecules, organic matter using the enzyme. So virus is not a decomposer. Bacteria and fungi are decomposers. Various terms I am coming to that, right? I am putting out various important there. Saprophytes are decomposers. Saprophytes are decomposers. Fungi is a decomposers. Bread mold, mushroom, they break down the organic molecule into simple one. And they are saprophytes, and that's why they are the decomposers. But when you say scavengers, right? When you say scavengers, see here. When you say scavengers, scavengers are consumers. Scavengers are consumers. Whereas when you say, in this case, saprophytes, they are basically detritus. They are called detritivore. They are called detritivore. Dead matter, they feed on that. Right? But when you say here, scavenger, they are the consumers. Vulture is a consumer. They feed on the dead animals. Right? So here, decomposers are the breakdown, like bacteria is a good example of the part of it. Now what comes here? I'll now come to this example. Now see here, the mushrooms and all this. So saprophytes. Now here, the fungi. They saprophyte, they break down and have, they are decomposers. They are called decomposers. And they are basically decomposers. They break down the matters there. Whereas scavenger is a consumer, right? And now you can see this is a bacteria. What you see, this is a microscopic image of bacteria. What you see green color, these are bacteria. Correct? There is a bacteria there. Now let me come to here. Now let me come on the whiteboard. Certain things I have given on the part of the slides there, and other things I'll put across on the whiteboard there. Now let's understand here. And again, I will request all of you that please try to learn in the classroom. This is one-time exercise. All what I am teaching in today's class is just a one-time exercise. Once you understand it, that's it. You don't have to worry about in the examination. And again, remember that for all this concept, you don't have to depend on a textbook or something of that. Try to learn in the classroom so that you remember in the exam if any question comes there. Let me come on the whiteboard, right? Now what happens here is that, you know that primary source of energy is sun. Right? Primary source of energy is sunlight. So what happens is sunlight here, right, will be trapped by producers like green plants and all this. A producer will take up the sunlight, and you know that through the process of photosynthesis, the organic material will be fixed, right? And what comes in the example of producers? As I said, green plants, grasses, algae or algae, right? Then phytoplanktons, right? Diatoms an example, cyanobacteria, blue-green algae, they are called blue-green algae. Then what happened? The producers which make the food, that goes to the consumers. That will go to the transfer to the consumer, right? Now when it comes to consumer, now you have various levels of consumers. What are the different consumers? The first is the herbivore. Herbivorous animals. This is called primary consumer. At the first level of consumer or primary consumer, right? Then the herbivore will be eaten by carnivores like tiger, lion, right? The carnivore will come into that. That is the secondary consumer. At the second level, the consumer comes into that. Secondary consumer, right? You all are aware of this. Then comes here sometimes what? You have a top carnivores, tertiary, that depends on food chain. But then comes here omnivore, which is both both herbivore, it can feed on the plant, as well as carnivore. They are called omnivores. Then what comes here? Scavengers. Scavengers like vulture and all, right? Is also consumer. Now what happens is that after the death of the plants and animals, what comes the next one? Decomposers. You all are aware of this. I am not teaching something which you are not aware. You have studied in your school days. In school days, the teacher would have taught you all this one. So here comes two of them, bacteria and fungi. Bacteria and fungi. Now what comes here? There is a very important law called as the Lindman's law of 10%. Energy efficiency or law of 10%. What is found in the law of 10% is that when the energy in terms of the food, so maximum energy from the sunlight which will get trapped by the producers, so the photosynthetic rate of the producer is very high. That depends on that and is able to make the food. So whatever the energy is there, kilojoule and kilocalorie, when it is eaten by consumer, herbivore, carnivore and all, it only gets 10% of the energy. So law of 10% is a very, very important law which Raymond Lindman has given this law of 10%. Now what is law of 10%? Law of 10% is based on the second law of thermodynamics. Thermodynamics comes into that. Second law of thermodynamics. What is second law? What is first law of thermodynamics? You all have studied your science book, thermodynamics laws. What is first law? First law of thermodynamics says that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form to another. What is second law of thermodynamics? Second law of thermodynamics says that whenever there is a conversion of energy from one form to another, there is a loss of energy because of heat energy. Right? That is the second law. And what is third law? There is a tendency for increase in randomness, what is called entropy. And there is also a law called zeroth law, zeroth law of thermodynamics, that is the temperature. Okay, how the heat conduct and the temperature part of it. So second law of thermodynamics, whenever the transformation happens, it will never be 100%. There will be loss in terms of heat energy. So what is law of 10%? Lindman law of 10%. Lindman law of 10% says that when the energy travel or transforms in the food chain, right, 90% is lost. Like here, in a food chain, Like in a food chain, what happens in the food chain? 90% of energy is lost, right, during transfer, right? Then in terms of metabolism, digestion in this one. Then there is another where energy is required, respiration. Etc. An organism is able to get only 10%. 10% is only made available to the next trophic level, next energy level. So what is in a food chain? 90% of energy is lost during transfer, metabolism, respiration, etc. So only about 10% energy is available to a given trophic level, to a trophic level. Let's take example. For example, grass eaten by goat, eaten by lion. Just take this example. If grass is able to get 100 kilojoule of energy, so the 90 kilojoule of energy, 90 kilojoule of energy will be lost during transfer, transformation, metabolism and all. 90% will be lost. So goat will get only 10 kilojoule. Now when it go eaten by lion, a carnivore, so again there will be loss of 10%, 90% of 10 kg. That is a 9 kg. No, sorry, 9 kilojoule. Right, 90% of 10 kilojoule. That so here 9 kilojoule will be lost. So how much lion will be able to get? Just 1 kilojoule. And what happens is that after respiration, everything, whatever is left over, this amount of energy, that transforms into biomass. Right? After, what is very important here, after this is what called energy efficiency. This is also called as the energy efficiency. It is also referred to as energy efficiency. What is energy efficiency in terms of a particular organism? How efficient is that? And whatever energy is there, let's say 100 kilojoule or 10 kilojoule or 1 kilojoule, this transforms into biological mass, biomass. So biomass is the organic matter, cells, tissues, that gets formed into that because of the part of it. Right? Now let's come to here. Now let's say, for example, I am coming to food chain. I am again getting back to the handout there. Right? Now let's look at the handout here. Now I am getting back to the handout there. The concept of food chain and food web. Let's look into that, the concept of food chain and food web. So what happens in this? What you see right now? There is a food chain. The radiant energy from sunlight, 5 lakh units, taken by diatoms, 10,000 units. Then go to the zooplanktons, phytoplankton eaten by zooplanktons, 1000 units. Small fish, 100 units. Big fish, 10 units. And then it is eaten by humans. We catch the fish and we eat it. We get 1 unit. So if let's say you have phytoplankton which carry out photosynthesis, get the 10,000, let's say 10,000 here joules. Let's say for example, it is 10,000 joules. Right? Which the law of 10% comes into that. So what will happen? So this is phytoplanktons. In the marine ecosystem, the phytoplanktons comes into that. Now this will be eaten by zooplanktons. Now zooplanktons here, how much will you get there? Zooplanktons will get only 100 units. or let's say 10,000, so here 1,000 joules. Then let's say a small fish. So how much will get? 100 joule. Then let's come to the big fish. How much will be getting here? Only 10 joule. 100 joule now become 10 joule. And then let's say human. Human being which capture the fish and eat. How much the human being will get? 1 joule. So 10,000 joule, that goes to from phytoplanktons to 1,000 to small fish. This is one example I am saying that. The food web, if you see the food web, what is food web? Food web is basically interconnected food chains that make the food web, where various organisms are connected to each other. They form the food web. You have got different trophic level, different energy levels there, right? Now here comes trophic level. This is a trophic level which is represented in terms of energy, right? How much is the energy? Let's say a plant, that's the first trophic level. We call it as the first trophic level. The producer, right? First trophic level. Then comes to the herbivores, cow, buffalo, right? The herbivores there. So this form the second trophic level. Highest energy is with the autotrophs, right? Lower will be with heterotrophs. Then comes here carnivores, like a secondary consumer. So that will be called as the third trophic level. Let's say here snake. And then comes a hawk or eagle, tertiary, that is the fourth trophic level. So in this food chain where grass or tree eaten by a kind of a rat or a mice, mice eaten by snake, and snake eaten by eagle or hawk. So highest energy comes from the trees and plants, first trophic level, then second trophic level, third, fourth. So it keeps on decreasing. It keeps on decreasing from lower to the higher, from producers to the consumers, right? And this is where the 10% law comes into the valid here, right? And it forms what? It looks like a pyramid. It forms the concept of pyramid, what we call as the ecological pyramid. It gives rise to an ecological pyramid. It looks like an ecological pyramid. Higher energy, and then energy keeps on decreasing there. Now the ecological pyramid concept, this concept was given by, now I am giving this a British scientist given by this concept was given by British scientist Charles Elton. Charles Elton, he gave this concept of pyramid. That's what sometimes the pyramid is also called as Eltonian pyramid. Eltonian pyramid. And Lindeman's law of 10%, which is based on laws of thermodynamics, it looks like in that way, right? Now coming to pyramid, pyramid can be like here, what we can understand here, see here. Again the same concept, next flowchart will make you understand. Energy flow and the part of it, right? What happens here is that the energy which flows, right, whatever the energy is consumed, when you take a food, let's say as a human being, when you consume the food, right, so some part will be consumed, other parts will be non-consumed. Which part is not consumed, that goes to decomposers as a wastage. That not consumed, that is the waste. Let's say for example food. the food, chapati or rice or whatever the food you eat. So there you will consume the food, and sometimes the part of the food you will waste also, wastage of the food. So 100% part, whatever you consume as a food, some part will get digested, other part will get not digested. And whichever is not digested, again is a wastage. And what will get digested? You get energy, respiration, or you get growth. It forms cells, tissues, and helps in the growth. Right? This is what called as the law of 10% comes into that. Correct? Is it clear here? So now what I mentioned here, I will now come to the part of the writing part. Now I am coming to the whiteboard on the writing part. What I explained, that's the writing part of it. Now you will write there. Right? I have explained through the presentation. Now you will go for the writing part. So let me now come to the whiteboard. Now any doubt you have? Because now I will come to the writing part of it. Any question you have? Now the entire flow chart is there. See, whatever I am writing on the whiteboard, please do write that. You have to copy this part of the whiteboard. And now I will be giving you the writing part. What I explained orally, now you will have a written part of it. Right? What is my way of teaching? First let you explain, right, and then going to the part of the points here. Is it okay with everyone? First you have to understand the concept. Once you understand the topic, then I can give you all the point wise the every answer of that. Have you copied on the whiteboard, from the whiteboard? Whatever I will explain, I will now put across the points on the whiteboard. All these concepts are given in the handout. Yesterday's handout is already given there. But as part of your class notes, which you will revise before the exam, so whatever I am writing on the whiteboard and the points which I will give you here, you can write that one. Have you all copied this? Have you all copied it? See, when we say plants, based on the pigment, most of the plants are green, but there are also plants which may be non-green also there. Because sometimes let's say pigment red or something of that. But they also carry out the photosynthesis. I am writing green plants because of the chlorophyll. The chlorophyll which are present on the type of plants which are, insectivorous plant, right? They also carry out photosynthesis. They also carry out photosynthesis part of it. Why we are writing the green plants? What is the Harsh question here? Why I am writing here green plant? Simply we can write plants here. Right? I am writing green plant because of the chlorophyll molecule which help the plants to carry out photosynthesis. There are some lower type of plants, right? They will also be capable of doing that, and they may not be necessary that always the green pigment chlorophyll present there. That is also possible there. All right, so now let's come to the points here. See, all these are basic concept, and I am saying again, repeating again, is not very relevant for now UPSC exam. In UPSC, the questions are now not being asked there, right? So what is very important here, now you have to remember is that now the question and the level of the questions in the examination has changed drastically over the last 5 years. But maybe other competitive exam the question can be asked. All right, now your class note. Now the part of the class notes here. So now you can write there, energy flow in an ecosystem. Now let's come to the energy flow in the ecosystem. Now whatever I have explained, you will write it as your class note, those who are writing. Those who are merely for entertainment, है ना, जो लोग केवल मस्ती मजाक के लिए आए तो उनके लिए तो लिखना या ना लिखना बात बराबर है, ठीक है. But those who are sincere students, who are sincerely preparing for the examination, whatever I have explained so far, now we'll come to the points. So first point here, energy flow, you can write there, is based on feeding pattern, right? The flow of energy is based on the feeding pattern as a food. So let us now discuss the first part, that is the food chain. Let's come to the food chain. And I'll write all the points point wise, which you can copy in your class notes. So let me write here, this is your class notes. Right? First you try to understand the concept, that's what I am using the PowerPoint, and then now I am giving you the points to write, which you have some basic points which you can revise. So what is the food chain here? The food chain is basically, first point is that it is a graphical representation. You write it down there. It's a graphical representation of energy flow. I am reading out also there, of energy flow in an ecosystem, let's say grassland or forest, right? So a food chain, right, is a graphical representation of energy flow in an ecosystem, right? In terms of what? In terms of feeding pattern. In terms of feeding pattern of organisms. Right? This is the definition. What is the food chain? Food chain is this one. Kindly write it down. Kindly write it down on your note copy. Now here example. A simple example here, what is the, which you know most of the textbook will give, grass, deer, tiger. So the arrow points the direction, who eats whom. Now let's look into second one. What does the food chain represent? It represents unidirectional flow of energy. It represents a unidirectional flow of energy. Unidirectional flow of energy. What is very important? Straight path. Food chain will not be bidirectional. Deer will eat grass, tiger will eat deer. It is not the opposite, that the grass will eat deer and deer will eat tiger. It never happens. It happens in single direction. Now, what is third thing here? There are two major types. There are two major types of food chains. Right? There are two major types of food chains. The first one is called grazing food chain. What is the first major type of food chain? That is the grazing food chain. Now, grazing food chain does not mean grassland. It does not mean grassland. It can be water body also there. So, what is grazing food chain? Here what happens, energy starts from producers. What is the grazing food chain? The energy starts from producers. Let's take example. I'll give two examples here. One example is here, this diatom, right, eaten by crustacean, right, shrimp, prawn, crab, which eat the diatom, and this is eaten by herring. Herring is the fish, Atlantic herring. Now, this was asked in PT 2014. There was a direct question in the prelims exam 2014, what is the correct order of the food chain? And the options were given, A, B, C, D, options were given. If you go back to the previous year question paper, 2014 prelims exam, A, B, C, D, the four options, this combinations were given. The correct answer is this one, diatoms, phytoplankton, eaten by crustacean, and that will be eaten by herring. Herring is a fish, right? That is also a grazing food chain. Because the producer, what is the producer here? Diatom. Diatom is a producer. Right? Second example, if you take here, which you all know that, grass, deer, tiger and all. This is also grazing food chain. The first one is also a kind of grazing food chain on a grassland. Now, what is second type of food chain? It's called detrital or detritus. Detrital or detritus, the detrital food chain. The second type of food chain is a detrital food chain. Detritus. Detritus means dead matters. So, where the energy starts from? Here in this case, the energy starts from dead organic matter. Dead organic matter. The energy starts from dead organic matter. That is called as a detrital food chain. Let's take example. I'll take the example here. Let's take the example here. The example here is that fallen leaves on a forest. Let's say the leaves have fallen from the tree and plant. Now that is broken down by fungi, a saprophyte fungi, and fungi, after death of fungi, that is broken down by bacteria. That is broken down by bacteria. Now this is the example of a detritus food chain, where you have a decomposers. Right? So please copy this one. ये इसको zoom कर दीजिए. Please copy this one. Now I am giving you the class notes. I will be giving you a lot of points writing on the whiteboard this way. So you should copy it down so that before the examination you can refer it. In a simple way, I have given here what is the food chain. Have you all copied it? Crustaceans are crab and all this comes into. Crab, shrimps, they're called crustacean. Herring is a fish. Yes, lobsters, these all are crustaceans there. See, somebody is saying dictation of the notes. See, dictation is what? When I dictate, let's say when I sit down and dictate the notes, right? So that can be done. But again, I think that it's more better that I can use the whiteboard. Whatever I have to dictate, I'll write it the points there. You can copy that part. Or you want simply that I must sit down on the chair and then dictate the notes. Which one you want? There's a student called Tomar. I don't know who is the Tomar. This Tomar is saying, sir, dictate the notes. So now choice is yours. Shall I sit down and dictate the notes? Or what I've written is also a kind of dictation, which you can simultaneously copy it. I'll give you time to copy down. So which one you want? The same thing I can dictate also there, but I have written on the whiteboard so that you can copy on the class notes. Do you want that I must sit down and then just simply dictate the notes? Whiteboard is always better. You understand the things and you write also there. Right? Some students are still in the school days, still following those kind of, way of teaching, the traditional way of teaching. So where a teacher comes, sit down on the chair, likho, likhte jao, page after page. Okay. Now let's look at question. I'm asking a question here. Right, let me ask a question here. Let me see how much you have understood. Now I'll write the question on the whiteboard based on what I have written here. And then we'll see one UPSC question. Now let's look at the question here. The question is that which of following is an example of detrital food chain? Let's say you get a question in the exam. Which of the following is an example of detrital food chain? A, diatom eaten by shrimp and eaten by fish. B, dead log, mushroom, goat, tiger. Third one, grass, grasshopper, bird. And the fourth one, algae, water fleas, and fish. So what will be the answer here? Let's say you get a question of this kind. Which of following is an example of detrital food chain? Diatom, shrimp, fish, dead log, mushroom, goat, tiger, grass, grasshopper, bird, algae, water flea, fish. What will be the answer here? A simple question. If you have understood what is a detrital food chain and if you have understood what is a grazing food chain, you will be able to just very quickly get the correct answer. You will be able to get the correct answer. What is detrital food chain? A detrital food chain is the one where the energy, the source of energy is the dead organic matter. So what will be the correct answer? The correct answer is B. The correct answer is B. It doesn't matter. See, some of you may think that goat and tiger is there, or deer and tiger will come there. Is it not that the consumers are coming here? Goat and tiger or lion or deer or whatever, the consumer comes into that. Isn't it not the consumers? No, always you have to ask from where the energy starts. Is the source of energy dead matter, or is coming from producers like diatom or algae or grass? So where it comes from there? Okay, there is a question that if no chlorophyll, can we say no photosynthesis? No. There are some pigments, there are also red pigments, and there also the photosynthesis can be there. But the maximum efficiency of photosynthesis comes from chlorophyll molecule. There is a student called Sumant. Sumant is asking a question that if no chlorophyll, can we say no photosynthesis? No. See, photosynthesis happens through the trapping of sunlight, where the light energy is converted into chemical energy. There may be certain type of plants which may not have or any, let's say algae, red algae. There are green algae also, there are red algae also, red colored also. And when you say pigment, pigment doesn't mean only green pigment, chlorophyll only. There can be other pigments also, like for example, there can be pigment, red color pigment also. And there also the wavelength of the light which can be trapped and converted into chemical form. That is also possible. Mostly we call it a green because we take green because of the chlorophyll and that abundance. We call it that part. All right. Have you all copied it? Have you all copied this one? Have you all copied it? I will now come to the food web. I'll come to the now next concept, food web. Right? We'll now go to the food web concept. So I'm giving you time to copy. Have you all copied this one? Today class is very important because we'll go to some of the aspects which are really very, very important for the examination. And I'll come to that part. I'll be also linking current aspect on that. Have you all copied? So please write along with me. Right? Dead matter is broken down. Organic matter, dead matter contains some of the biomolecule organic matter, and that is broken down by the fungi or saprophyte. So the source, I am talking from where it starts. Dead matter will also have some kind of, and that dead matter is broken down by saprophyte, fungi, decomposers. Right? There it comes into that. So now let's come to the, I'll say those of you who are not writing and those of you want to write later part, please visit the recorded video, pause at the place and then copy it, or you watch it. It's again, discussion is yours. So I'm now cleaning the whiteboard. Now let's look at food web. Now let's come to the concept of food web. What is food web? Is a network of food chains, interconnected food chains, and a food chain is always a part of a food web. In nature, when we come across forest or grassland, is always the part of the food chain, is always the part of food web. So let us now come to the concept of food web. Concept of food web. So what is food web? The first point is that you can write this one. Those who think that dictation, so I am dictating also there. Graphical representation of energy flow through a network of interconnected food chains. Through a network of interconnected food chains. What is the food web? It is a graphical representation of energy flow through a network of interconnected food chains, where an organism is a part of more than one food chain. It is also called web of life, right? Now what is here? Let's say for example, We'll take an example here. Let's say, for example, grass. It can be eaten by deer. Deer can be killed and eaten by tiger, or it can be killed and eaten by lion, or it can be killed and eaten by leopard. Right? Grass. You have a grasshopper. Now grasshopper eaten by bird. Right? Now, what is another thing here? Or the grasshopper eaten by frog. Right? Frog may be eaten by the bird. Right? Or frog is eaten by snake. Right? And snake can be eaten by bird. Right? Right? Or snake can be eaten by peacock. I'm just giving the network there. And peacock can be eaten by tiger, can be eaten by leopard, it can be eaten by lion. So interconnected food chains, which can form a chain of food chains contain, there's always a form the part of food web in any ecosystem. Now what is second here? Since there are different paths of energy to flow, represents multi-directional flow of energy. Here you have a multi-directional flow of energy. Food chain you have a single direction, unidirectional. Here you have a multi-directional energy flow, multiple paths. Right? And what is third here? A complex food web. A complex food web, I am dictating also there. Those who want dictation, I am dictating also there. A complex food web made of more number of food chains. I am writing a very, very important statement here. A complex food web made of more number of food chains has higher stability than a simple food web. Has higher stability than a simple food web, right? Simple food web made of less number of food chain. Why so? Why is it so? Complex food web, what I've written here, third point. A complex food web which has more complexity, made of more number of food chains, has higher stability, will not easily collapse, has higher stability than a simple food web made of less number of food chains. Why so? Why it happens so? Why a complex food web will be more stable than the simple food web? Yes. Why a complex food web is more stable than food chain, more stable than a simple food web? And please write it down. This is your class notes. Who will give the answer? Let me ask, there is a person called Shyam Rathod. Shyam Rathod can give the answer. Why a complex food web is more stable than a simple food web? Yes, now I am getting a response there. Ecological balance, okay. Multiple organisms, okay. Good, very good. See, try to learn in the classroom. What I want to say, whatever I am teaching in the classroom, try to just go through it. If you are already aware of it, just revise the concept. Good, very good. You all are very correct. Very good. You are giving correct answer. Good. Very good. Your answer is correct. Well done. You all are giving correct answer. Good. A complex food web will have more alternative sources of energy. If one species get lost, still there will be other species from where the food can be obtained. Why a complex food web is more stable? Because more number of food chain, more number of organisms, multiple sources of food, alternatives are there. So it will not break down. But let's say simple food web, if one organism is lost or disappeared, others, the higher level, may get less options to eat and may have impact on it, drastic impact. You are right. You all are right. So now what I'll do here, let me come across here. All right, now let's look at here. I am coming to a question here. I'll take the previous year question paper. Let me see how many of you can get the answer here. So these are the questions at yesterday the handout which I have given. Just go through that. You'll find there are questions from the previous year exam. Now the first question here. The first question. ये आ क्यों नहीं रहा ऐसा? नेटवर्क का बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है. You'll get the question here. बंद कर दीजिए. काफी स्लो जा रहा है. बंद करें इसको. Just 1 second. I'm showing you the question here. उसको connect कीजिए. I'm going through the previous year question paper. You will be seeing that what questions have been asked in the UPSC exam. Any doubt you have, any question you have? And you all are writing what I am writing on the whiteboard? नहीं आ रहा है. आगे चलो. Okay, now let's look at the question here. The question here is that this one. UPSC question, prelims question. Let me come to the prelims question. I am reading out the question here. With reference to food chains in ecosystem, consider the following statements. It was asked in 2013 exam. A food chain illustrates the order in which a chain of organisms feed upon each other. Number 2, food chains are found within the population of a species. Number 3, a food chain illustrates the number of each organism which are eaten by others. Now the options are A, 1 only, right? A, 1 only, then you have B, 1 and 2 only, C, 1, 2 and 3, and then D, none. So what will be the answer here? Okay, what's your answer? This question which was asked in prelims exam 2013 exam, what's your answer in that case? All right, so why I'm taking the previous year questions? Just to make you understand how UPSC asks questions. Okay, good, very good. The answer is A. Answer is here A. 1 only is the answer. See here, a food chain illustrates the order in which a chain of organisms feed upon each other. That is correct. Now, the statement number 2 is wrong. What is given here? Food chains are found within the population of the species. The word within is wrong. It has to be between. It has to be between, not the within. Grass, deer, tiger. Grass is one species, deer is another, and the tiger is another. But you may argue, what about those animals which feed their own members? It can happen there, where the members eat their own members. But that is not a food chain. Food chain is a model by which we study transfer of energy from one organism to the next, from one species to the other. So second is wrong. Now third is also wrong. Why third is wrong? A food chain illustrates the numbers of each organism which are eaten, the numbers. On the whiteboard, whatever examples I have given you, food chain, food web, do you find there anywhere numbers? There is no number given, 1 or 10 or 100 numbers are not there. It just gives the name of the organisms and an arrow. Arrow points the direction. Where do you get the numbers? The concept of number comes into pyramid. We learn the concept of numbers in the pyramid concept. When we study the ecological pyramid, there the concept of number comes. Pyramid of numbers, pyramid of biomass, pyramid of energy. So the answer is 1 only. Answer is A, 1 only. Now let's look at another one here. Another one which was asked in the exam, this one. Question number 3. With reference to food chain in the ecosystem, which of the following kind of organism is a decomposer? Organisms, 2013. Fungi and bacteria, right? Right, fungi and bacteria. We have discussed in the classroom. The answer is 2 and 3 only. Answer is 2 and 3 only. Alright. So now where we get the numbers and all this one? The concept of numbers which comes here, that is in terms of the pyramid. When we come to the concept of pyramid, ecological pyramid, there we come to know the numbers. Now let's understand the concept here, then we'll move to that. See what happens in pyramid, you have the producers to consumers. You have here first trophic level, which I have already discussed in the classroom. The first trophic level, right? Your first trophic level, then you have a second trophic level. Second trophic level, you have herbivores here, right? And third trophic level, that depends on the how many organisms are there in the food chain, right? So you have a producer. Here you have a producer, then you have a herbivore, primary consumer, and then you have carnivore. That is in terms of the part of the secondary consumer. Now, if you look at this one, pyramid of energy. Now, pyramid of energy, what you find is that because of law of 10%, what do you find that? You find that the pyramid of energy always keep on decreasing. 100% energy, 10% energy, 1% energy, 0.1% energy. It keeps on decreasing. The energy will keep on decreasing there, right? And that's what it becomes a upright pyramid. The pyramid is a upright. It is not inverted pyramid, it is a upright pyramid. Right? Now if you see here, another example, biomass. How much is the organic matter which is formed? What is biomass? Biomass is dry organic matter. The dry organic matter, the carbonic matter, that is called as a biomass. So in a grassland ecosystem, if you see the biomass pyramid here, in a decreasing order, that's here 50,000 gram, right, grasses and plants, then 5,000 grams in frogs, grasshoppers. Grasshoppers have 500 gram to the mice and 50 gram to the owl. Again, what do you find? It keeps on decreasing there. right? And this is example of upright pyramid. Again, it is a upright pyramid. Is an upright pyramid of biomass. But pyramid of biomass can be inverted also. Pyramid of biomass can be inverted. We'll see the example where inverter comes. Then another thing comes here. Now if you see here, this one. Pyramid of biomass, upright or inverted. In a grassland kind of ecosystem, you have a upright. That means 1000 kilogram, 100 kilogram, 10 kilogram, 1 kilogram. So you have a upright kind of a pyramid. But if you take example of this one, aquatic food chain. In an aquatic food chain, you have instead of decreasing, there is increase. 4 grams, that is with the diatoms. Small fish get the 8 gram per square meter, and larger big fish gets 12 gram. So what you find here? Instead of decrease, there is an increase. There is increase in biomass, and it becomes an inverted pyramid. This is, I am talking in terms of biomass, I am not talking about energy. Energy pyramid will always be upright. There will always be loss of energy. But biomass can be both upright and inverted. So here you can see that this is a increasing order. Now you can ask question why? Why so it happens that there is a, instead of decreasing, it happens increase? Because what happens? The lifespan, right? Here let's say for example, lifespan of algae or phytoplankton is just only 1 to 2 days. They live for a very short duration. So the amount of biological mass which is accumulated is very, very less in a given area. If you take here, let's say, small fish, there is lifespan, it may be something, let's say 10 to 12 days. I'm just giving example here. It may live longer than the producer. Since it lives longer than the producers, it will synthesize more food, right? Accumulate more energy. And if you take the large, big fish or carnivorous fish here, if you take lifespan here, that may be, let's say months, maybe 30 days or 60 days, it will be months there. Months and years. And they will be able to accumulate more. Here, accumulation will be more. Right? So that's what it becomes increasing order and inverted pyramid. This is an exception. This is an exception there. Right? This is the exception there. Right? It's exceptional case that where the pyramid of biomass, you have a increasing order in the aquatic ecosystem. So in aquatic ecosystem, pyramid of biomass is a inverted pyramid of biomass. I am talking about biomass, right? Whereas the pyramid of biomass on land-based system is the decreasing one. Again, it depends on the metabolic rates and all that depends on that. Now let's look at pyramid of numbers. Number pyramid. Let's say 1000 grasses support 100 grasshoppers. 100 grasshoppers support 10 mice, and 10 mice support 1 owl. So what do you find here? The decrease in numbers, and it becomes an upright. You find here, it becomes an upright pyramid. It becomes an upright pyramid because 1000 grasses support 100 grasshoppers, 100 grasshoppers support 10 mice, and 10 mice support 1 owl. It becomes an upright pyramid. But pyramid of numbers can be inverted also there. Now let's look at here this one. A tree ecosystem. In a tree ecosystem, let's say a tree, you have one tree which is home of birds. You have birds which live on the tree. Let's say here, if you do the counting, so you have 6 birds, and on every bird you have a parasite, right? Here you have a lice. Lice is a parasite, right? Let's say each bird support, let's say 10 lice, then 6 birds will support 60 lices. The numbers will be more. Let's say here 10 or 100, and each of the lice or parasite has a hyperparasite, and then numbers may be 100. So what do you find here? We find that the numbers here, in this case the number is increasing. You have increase in numbers, and the pyramid becomes inverted. This becomes inverted pyramid. Pyramid of numbers. I am talking about numbers, where the numbers increases, and number increases, it becomes an inverted pyramid. Take another example here, this one. You have single tree, right? It supports the birds. Here you have a bird, and let's say here you have 8 birds are there, and eaten by let's say a hawk, which is a bird of prey. You have bird of prey, right? And let's say you are having 1. So what happens in this case? The pyramid increases and then decreases. It becomes spindle. It becomes a spindle shaped pyramid. It first increases and then decreases. So what does that mean? Number pyramid and biomass pyramid can be upright also, inverted also. But pyramid of energy is always upright. Is always upright. So these are the exceptions. What you have? These are the exceptions of inverted pyramid of numbers. You have to always remember this. Sometimes there can be a direct question in the exam. Sometimes there can be direct question in the exam, right? So what I have explained here, this can be a direct question in the exam. Now let's come to the part of the whiteboard. What I explained through the PowerPoint, right? And you all have written about the food web. So now let's come to the part of the pyramid part of it. Let us now discuss the pyramid. Right? Let's now come to the pyramid part of it. I am coming on the whiteboard here. Now number 3 is the ecological pyramid. You can write this one. Now let's come to the ecological pyramid. Right? Now ecological pyramid, I am now giving the notes there. You can write the point-wise notes in your class notes, right? Same way as I have given you food chain, food web, I am now coming to the pyramid part. So what is ecological pyramid here? The first point here is a graphical representation. You can write in your class notes. Is a graphical representation of energy. The first thing is what? Energy. Kilocalorie, kilojoule per square meter per year. Number of organism and biomass. The organic matter, the dried organic matter, biomass, is a graphical representation of energy, number and biomass in terms of what is very important word here? Trophic level. In terms of various trophic levels, right? Right. So it is a mathematical. Here is a, you can say, is a quantitative tool. Right? Is a quantitative tool here. Right. So what is there? Graphical representation of energy, number and biomass in terms of energy, in terms of trophic levels of food chain. Of food chains. Here we take in terms of the food chains there. whatever the food chains are there, they either in terms of energy or in terms of numbers or biomass, they are represented, and there we represent in terms of trophic levels, right? So for example here, what you have seen in that, so it represents like a pyramid, right? So at the bottom of the pyramid, you have the producers. Then you have a consumer, like primary consumer, secondary consumer. It again depends on the how many levels of food chains are there. There may be tertiary consumer, there may be quaternary consumer, right? Now what is second point here? Second point is that pyramid of energy. When we take pyramid of energy, right, is always upright, will always be upright, right? Because of law of 10%, energy will keep on decreasing, always upright. Whereas the pyramid of biomass, right, when we take pyramid of biomass, right, when we're talking biomass, so it can be upright, right, as well as inverted. It can be upright as well as inverted. Now where you have an inverted pyramid of biomass, which is exception, happens in the water bodies or in terms of aquatic ecosystem. Inverted pyramid of biomass in aquatic ecosystem. What I have explained through the PowerPoint, I am writing the point there, right? So what happens in aquatic ecosystem? Let's say algae eaten by water fleas, small fish, and let's say big fish. Let's say this food chain, right? So what will happen in this case? Algae which is able to multiply also die also very fast. So what we find in this case is that the pyramid will represent like this. Pyramid will represent like this one. You have algae here, less biomass. Water fleas again, more biomass. Small fish, more biomass. And then larger fish, it goes into more biomass. Same way, pyramid of numbers. Pyramid of numbers, right? It can also be upright as well as inverted. Upright as well as inverted. Now what happens in the, where the example of inverted pyramid comes? Inverted pyramid of number is in tree ecosystem, parasitic food chain in tree ecosystem. Inverted pyramid of number in parasitic food chain in tree ecosystem. Parasitic food chain in tree ecosystem. Right, you can just copy this one. That means pyramid of energy based on laws of thermodynamics will be always be upright, but number pyramid and biomass pyramid can be both upright as well as inverted. That again depends on the food chain. Is it clear, the class notes? Because some of you are worried about class notes. So this is your class notes. So first I am trying to make you understand, and then I am giving you the point-wise notes on that, so that you can revise before the exam. It will become a kind of quick revision, At the same time, I am also providing you the handout to read. Yesterday's handout, you have to refer yesterday's handout. All these are given in the yesterday's handout. Any doubt, any question you have? Anything you want to ask? Water flea is basically a small kind of insect. I'll show you the water flea. What is water flea? You can see here. They're small type of insect which are found in the water bodies, like Daphnia and all this. This is how it looks like. Right? Water flea looks like this one. Right? They are like an animal only. They are small insect type of animal there which feed on the part of that one. There's an order of small crustacean. Right? 650 species have been found. Common water flea, and you will find that. They feed on the algae. They feed on the diatoms or algae. They feed on the diatom or algae, and this will be eaten by fish, small fish and the large fish. Clear the see, virus comes nowhere. Sumit is asking what level virus comes. Virus is non-living, and virus is not a decomposer. My dear friend, Mr. Sumit, I have explained in the beginning of the classroom what is a decomposer, and I have said that virus is a non-living and living. It comes in the boundary of that. Virus is a microscopic, but in the living system, it is not considered as a decomposer. You are asking me what level? It doesn't come in any level. Right? Though it is a pathogen, it causes human disease, right? But will not put in anywhere in the food chain there. Clear here? Now let me come to the part of the very important part which I am coming here. On the slide I have given here biological magnification, a very important concept, biomagnification, biological magnification. It is also linked with the food chain, food web, right? This is a part of the food chain, food web. Biological magnification of DDT in a food chain and food web there. Now let's understand the chemical pesticide DDT which was sprayed in the case of here. Now look at here. DDT which was sprayed, used there, right? Going to the phytoplankton, it will be eaten by zooplankton. The amount of the DDT by ppm, ppm stands for parts per million. So what happens? Very small amount in the water, then it's taken by the phytoplanktons. Then as it goes to zooplanktons, it increases. Then it goes to small fish, again increases. And then the large fish again increases. And then finally to the bird, it becomes very high. So when a toxic substance, right, as the living organism eats more, the concentration of these substances increases as they pass from one trophic level to the next. Chemical pesticides like DDT, which are persistent, which are non-biodegradable, and they are harmful to the organisms, living organisms and all. So there is a big problem, and the first time this scientific study on biological magnification was carried out, and it was documented in a book called Silent Spring, written by Rachel Carson. And that brought into limelight that harmful effect of DDT, which accumulated in the fatty tissues of animals. Now let's take another effect here. In the 1950s, right, in 1950s, DDT was used to kill insects. To kill insects, DDT was sprayed. So in the early 1950s, People in Borneo, where is Borneo? Southeast Asia. Borneo Island. Borneo Island in Southeast Asia, right here in 1950s, suffered from the malaria. Right? You know that Anopheles mosquito, which carry as a vector the parasite of malaria called Plasmodium. So WHO, World Health Organization, had a solution to kill the mosquito with DDT. Kill the mosquito with DDT. Right? Now what happened here? Now see here. The mosquito, the DDT was used to kill the mosquito. Right? Now mosquito, this DDT also killed a parasitic wasp. The DDT which killed the mosquito, but the DDT also, the byproduct, also killed parasitic wasp. When you spray DDT in the agricultural land, it can go to the soil, it can go to other organism also there. Now this parasitic wasp, when the wasp was killed, so what happened that the caterpillar, that caterpillar increased in numbers. Parasitic wasp eats caterpillar. The caterpillar is eaten by parasitic wasp. Right? Parasitic wasp feed upon the caterpillar. But now, because of DDT, the parasitic wasp was killed. The parasitic wasp was killed. The DDT, because of the DDT effect, caterpillar number increased. The number of caterpillars increased, and then caterpillars ate the roof of the house. Did you understand that? Because of the DDT to kill mosquito, DDT killed the parasitic wasp, and because of that, there was a higher growth of caterpillar, and because of higher growth of caterpillar, what happened there? The caterpillars eaten away the roofs of the house, villager's house. Very interesting. Attack of the caterpillars on the houses and eaten away. Now another thing here. DDT, right, killed the geckos. Geckos are like lizard. Gecko, what you can see in the photograph, gecko is a lizard. Because of the spray of the DDT in Borneo, this gecko or lizard was killed. Right? A DDT get accumulated in the gecko. There was accumulation of DDT in the lizard or gecko, and that was eaten by this one, eaten by cat. So cat caused eating the geckos caused more DDT to accumulate in cats. When cat ate this gecko, there was more concentration of DDT to the wild cat, and that killed the cat. The cat got killed. Second effect, what happened? This because of cat got killed, right? Cats got killed. The population of cat increased. Population of mice increased. Again, I explain. Because of the DDT, the gecko has got more concentration. Gecko has got more concentration of DDT, biomagnification. So the cat which ate the geckos, cat got higher percentage biomagnification, and the cat got killed. When the cat got killed, the mice population increased. There was increase in the population of mice. The mice population, the rat, as the cats died, the rat population increased, and because of rat population there was a plague. It caused a plague in the island of Borneo, because plague is caused by rats. See the after effect. See the after effect of the DDT. This example of the DDT, right? See what after effect happened there, right? Biomagnification. That's where I'm discussing that. Then you all know about Minamata disease. Minamata Bay in Japan, where the mercury poisoning, right? It happens because of the mercury poisoning. Mercury poisoning, and mercury being a heavy metal is highly toxic. Is a highly toxic metal, right? Mercury poisoning that affect the brain, affect the nervous system. Today this is a big problem worldwide because of the such kind of heavy metals and mercury, use of mercury there. So what happened there in the Japan, 1956 at that time, in Japan, Minamata River, Minamata Bay, this company called Shizo factory, Shizo company, it discharged into the Minamata Bay untreated effluent was discharged. Untreated effluent was discharged which contained methyl mercury, which was having the methyl mercury. Methyl mercury was there. So that went to the Minamata Bay, and then this methyl mercury entered the food chain of that area, where it went to the more concentration in the fishes and from there to human beings. And that's what caused the effect, Minamata disease. Right? Is a very good example of biomagnification. Even today in Japan, there is the effect of this particular Minamata problem there. Now what I am coming here, diclofenac and Indian vulture. What is diclofenac? Diclofenac is a painkiller, or it is a pain relieving medicine, drug. Diclofenac is a painkiller or pain relieving drug. And because of diclofenac, Indian vulture crisis, 4 types of vultures: red-headed vulture, white-backed vulture, which is also called Indian vulture, white-backed vulture. Then you have a slender-billed vulture, what is called gyps vulture. What I am writing the name here. And the 4th one, that is called long-billed vulture. These 4 types of vultures in India. India has got 9 types of vultures. Out of 9 types, red-headed vulture, white-backed vulture, slender-billed vulture and long-billed vultures, they have declined by more than 95%. They have declined. They have declined by more than 95% over the last 2 decades. And all these vultures have been declared as a IUCN list, is declared as a critically endangered. It has been now declared as a critically endangered. Right, it has now been declared as a critically endangered in the IUCN Red Data book. In the IUCN Red Data book, all these 4 types of vultures have been now declared as a critically endangered. And I have given here, you will find here all the 9 vultures are there. You will find here all the 9 vultures are there. Right? You can see here, this is all these 9 types of vultures in India. Out of this, this vulture, oriental white-backed vulture, then slender-billed vulture, right? Then coming to Indian vulture, white-backed vulture, right? And then you have another one, what is called as here, this one, red-headed vulture. More than 99%, 95% they have declined because of diclofenac. Now what is the diclofenac does is that diclofenac, it is given to diseased cattle. Where it is given? Diseased cattle. Is a veterinary drug which is given to diseased cattle. So the amount of the diclofenac increased with the diseased cattle. Right? And when the cattle dies, after death of the cattle, when the cattle in the villages dies, the death of the cattle, it is eaten by vulture, right? Is eaten by vulture. Vulture being the scavenger, they eat this particular, the dead cattle. And then the biomagnification and decrease in numbers. Right, biomagnification and decrease in numbers. Diclofenac as a painkiller given to diseased cattle as a veterinary drug. Then as the cattle dies, cows and buffaloes, they are thrown out. And vulture which eat those kind of cattle, biomagnification, and finally the decrease in the population of vulture. Right? Vultures suffer with gout-like symptom. What is something called gout-like, G-O-U-T, gout-like symptom. Is another good example of biomagnification. I am giving you case study, I am giving you case examples there, right? Now what comes here? Endosulfan and Kasargod tragedy. Where is Kasargod? Kasargod is in Kerala. In the state of Kerala, right? In the state of Kerala, there is a place called Kasargod, and there the spray of the endosulfan, which is a pesticide, is also a chemical pesticide, organochloride pesticide, and which is used in cashew plantation, and it has led to this kind of a, problem. You can see the photograph. Because of the effect of the endosulfan, this is what has happened in the Kasargod, right, in Kerala, where the people suffered because of the endosulfan. Another, I am giving you from current aspect the example of biomagnification. Right? So, see why I am using PowerPoint? This all photographs, this all things you will remember. You will always remember throughout your lifetime. Right? Now let's look into here. I am just taking to you here NDTV documentary. You will watch now how the part of it you will just watch now. Let's watch this documentary. It's an eye opener. You just watch this.
Now, is endosulfan destroying lives? Could it be banned? That's a big question being debated not just in India as well at a special convention.
NDTV's Sobi Vidyadharan travelled to Ground Zero, Kasargod in Kerala, where hundreds are battling serious deformities, children are disabled and dozens paralysed, all allegedly due to the rampant use of this pesticide.
Badusha can't run, he can't play like other children. Permanently bedridden, this 12-year-old is symbolic of what many allege are the effects of endosulfan, a pesticide used by farmers in India. He is just one among hundreds of children in Kasargod, living testimonies to the harmful effects of the pesticide. God's own children neglected by successive governments.
നമ്മളെ മന്ത്രിമാർ വരുമ്പോൾ എല്ലാവരും കാലിൽ പിടിക്കും ഇവനെയും കൊണ്ട് ഇവനെ എടുക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല കൊണ്ടുപോകാൻ പറ്റുന്നില്ല എങ്കിലും ഇവനെയും കൊണ്ടുപോയി എല്ലാവരും ഈ ലെറ്ററും വാങ്ങിയിട്ട് വെക്കും പിന്നെ മറുപടിയില്ല.
We are at Karadaka Panchayat in Kasargod and we are at the house of Muhammad Ashif, one of the endosulfan victims. He is 20-year-old. He cannot move around and do what many of his age do. His parents say he needs to be taken to the hospital on most of the days of the week, something that they can ill afford.
കുട്ടിക്ക് അപസ്മാരമുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. പിന്നെ എന്തും ഒരു ബലമില്ല, എന്തും ഇതാക്കാനും ഓരോ ചർച്ച ഇതില്ലാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ ഞാൻ കുറെ മരുന്നെല്ലാം എടുത്തെന്ത് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട്.
There is no treatment or there is no curative purpose for Parkinson anomalies. And most important congenital anomalies are those associated with the brain. That may be functional properties like mental retardation and so also there's a cerebral palsy. And this comes due to the exposure of the children born to those exposed to endosulfan.
At another village further north, 28-year-old Sujata, her growth stunted when she was 4. Before she was born, Sujata's parents lived near cashew estates owned by the Plantation Corporation of Kerala. Endosulfan was indiscriminately sprayed in these plantations spread over 2,000 hectares in Kasaragod for over a decade since the late 1970s. The result, over 4,000 people suffering its harmful effects even now.
ശരീരത്തിൽ തന്നെ ഈ മരുന്നിന്റെ ആഘാതം ഏറ്റിട്ട് ഇങ്ങനെ അവരെ ശരീരം ജീർണിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് പോകുന്ന മട്ടിലാണ് കാണുന്നത്.
We have been demanding the ban. Why the government of India is not considering the ban? Since there are lot of reports, even the prominent institution like ICMR have done a detailed study, and which National Institute of Occupational Health, they have done a detailed study, and there are a lot of other studies as well. So there's no need of further study. The life of these people belongs to 11 Panchayat itself is a testimonial to consider the ban.
The Kerala Chief Minister is now actively pursuing a campaign to ban endosulfan. But for now, the Centre's Agriculture Ministry has said it cannot ban the pesticide. This despite the fact that over 80 countries have made the use of endosulfan illegal. Currently, a convention in Geneva is debating if it should be banned worldwide. Badshah, Ashif and Sujata just hope there will be a ban. No others will have to suffer the way they do. In Kasaragod with camera person SP Babu, Sovi Vidyadharan, NDTV.
Why I played you this video? Why I have given you all the case studies? What I told in the classroom, see, what I would like to make you understand is that I have told very clearly yesterday also, today also, that I am starting from a very basic ecological concept. And slowly I am building upon advanced concept. Right? The advanced concept I am going through it one by one. I am building upon one by one. And again remember that a teacher like me is very much concerned about the students and their welfare. Right? Wherever it is possible to dictate, I will dictate it. But again, I feel whatever I'm writing on the whiteboard with my simultaneous explanation, if you copy it with that, that is the same as the class notes. If you can copy that one, it will become a very comprehensive revision kind of class notes. Right? And I am following a particular sequence of topics. I know that there may be students who may be already aware of all this concept of food chain, food web, pyramid. You would have read in your college or school time, right? Or during your preparation of UPSc exam, there are the students maybe that who may be again, going for coaching. They have done their self-study earlier and now they are going for coaching, right? My purpose of bringing case studies, case examples, at the same time showing you such kind of documentary is to make you aware that you should know how the concepts, the theory part puts into practical application. Where are the issues are there? Where are the concerns are there? Right now UPSc will not ask you what is a food chain or food web or pyramid. Why I made you to understand this concept? This is just the foundation. This is just the starting point. And I told very clearly in today's class that one or two questions are there or some keywords will be there. Some type of such word will be used in the question when you solve the question. Or when you write mains answer, it must reflect that you know ecology, you know environment. You are able to bring such technical term of the subject in your answer writing. That's what it comes there. A teacher always starts from a basic level and then again build upon the higher level. Right? I hope that you are able to understand this part. Now what I'll do, I have explained you through the PowerPoint biomagnification with number of examples. Right? With number of examples there. Now let's come to this. 3 words are there. which I'm writing on the board. You can copy this one. There's first term called bioaccumulation. What is the first word? The first term is called bioaccumulation, right? Second word is here bioconcentration. Bioconcentration. And the third term, which I have explained with all these examples, that is a biomagnification. Right? You have three words here: bioaccumulation, bioconcentration, and biomagnification. Right? They are used interchangeably. They are used interchangeably. Right? Sometimes you come across bioaccumulation word, sometimes you come across biomagnification word. So let's understand what is the meaning of all these three terms. Right? What is bioconcentration? Here it refers, you can write this in your class notes. It refers to the process, right? To the process of accumulation of harmful and toxic substance, whether it is a chemical pesticides or heavy metal, right? So what is the bioaccumulation? It refers to the process of accumulation of harmful and toxic substance in trophic levels, of food chain. See, some of the organisms, there can be more accumulation. In other, maybe less accumulation. That depends on where in the trophic level that particular organism stands, right? So let's say here, for example, in this context, let's say DDT as a chemical pesticide, where it gets accumulated? Accumulates in fatty tissues, in human being and organisms, animals and all, fatty tissues there. It gets accumulated there. Let's say today, vegetables, they have chemical residues there, the pesticide, fertilizers, vegetables, fruits, and where it goes to the fats. It gets accumulated in the fats, right? Sometimes this accumulation will be higher or maybe lower, right? That is called bioaccumulation. And there are substances which are biologically active pollutants, like mercury, cadmium, chromium, lead, chemical fertilizers, pesticides. They have more drastic impact on the living organism. Let's say what comes here, bioconcentration. What is bioconcentration? It refers to the amount. Now we are talking about amount of harmful and toxic substance, in trophic levels of food chain. How much is the amount which get accumulated? We are talking about concentration. In some of the organisms, the concentration may be lower. In others, the concentration can be higher. Let's say, for example, if you take here, we express in parts per million. Let's say either it is a 1 microgram, or is it a 1 parts per million out of 1 million, that part, or is it a 10 grams, right? That is again depends on what concentration it accumulates in a given trophic level of a food chain. We are referring to the amount. Some organisms may accumulate more amount, others may accumulate less amount. That's the concentration. And there's something called lethal dose. What is lethal dose? If it goes beyond a level, the dose, that organism will be affected, like vultures. What the diclofenac, when it goes to vulture, the concentration accumulation in the vulture, it affects the kidney and all those, and gout-like symptom. The neck of the vulture droops. They're not able to fly, and they die. Right? That depends on the toxic level, the amount and the dose. How much is the dose here? How much is the concentration? And sometimes it will go beyond the tolerable limit. That is called biological concentration. Now what is biomagnification? Biomagnification, it refers to increase. Here the word is increase. How the concentration increases from one trophic level to the next across the food chain. So here it refers to increase in concentration. Increase in concentration of harmful and toxic substance. Harmful and toxic substance. Now what is the very important? Across successive trophic levels. Across successive trophic levels, one trophic level to the next. I'll explain with an example there. Across successive trophic levels of a food chain. Successive level of food chain. Just take example here. I'll give you example here. Let's consider the example here. Grass, right? Eaten by grasshopper. Right? Just consider this food chain. Grass eaten by grasshopper. Grasshopper is eaten by frog. Frog eaten by snake. And snake is eaten by hawk. Let's consider this food chain. And there is a use of pesticide. There is a use of DDT. DDT as a pesticide. So let's say, for example, when there is a use of DDT as a pesticide in the agricultural land, let's say one grass accumulates. The bioaccumulation accumulates 1 microgram of DDT. Just I am giving example. Consider that one grass from the soil is able to accumulate 1 microgram of DDT or 1 ppm of DDT or 0.1 ppm of DDT, whatever amount is there. Now what will happen? Let's say grasshopper. Grasshopper, it's let's say one grasshopper, it's 5 grasses. A single grasshopper eats 5 grasses. I'm just giving an example, random example. So how much will be accumulation there? One grass have this much, right, DDT part of it here. Now how much will be in the grasshopper? A single grasshopper eats 5 grass. So let's say one grass accumulate 1 microgram. So one grasshopper which eats 5 grasses will have 5 microgram. 5 microgram of DDT. Now let's take frog. Frog eats 2 grasshopper. Let's say a frog eats 2 grasshopper. So how much of the DDT will accumulate in frog? 2 into 5, 10 microgram. 10 microgram of DDT. Now let's take a snake. A snake eats 2 frogs. A snake feed on 2 frogs. So how much the snake will have accumulation? 20 microgram of DDT. And let's say a hawk. Hawk eats again 2 snakes. So how much will be accumulation here? 40 microgram of DDT. 40 microgram of DDT. So what is happening here? Now you can see here, what is happening here? 1 microgram, 5 microgram, 10 microgram, 20 microgram, 40 microgram. So concentration here, right? There is increase in concentration. there's a continuous increase in concentration of DDT, right? And who will be affected the most? The most impact will be on hawk. Hawk will be affected the most. Why? Because the hawk will get higher dose, 40 microgram. So this process of increase in concentration from one to the next across the entire food chain, this is what is called as a biomagnification, entire food chain, right? That is what called the biomagnification. As the concentration of DDT increases right from the grass till the hawk will get the higher amount. The entire process subsequently as it goes from one to the next, that is called as a biomagnification. Clear? Is it clear? Are you able to understand here? इनको पूरा दिखा दीजिए. Any doubt you have? Any question? Anything you want to ask me? Please copy this. The handout which I gave in today's class, I have discussed the entire handout. So please copy this particular part, and this can be a question in the exam. Now this is important. And you have to see from the current aspect, right? Let me write also there. What are those substances which cause the effect? So if you take the example here, so which are those substances there? Heavy metals. What are the example of heavy metals? Such as mercury, which cause Minamata disease. Then cadmium, Itai. There is a disease called Itai. Chromium, right? Lead, etc. Then what comes here? Chemical pesticides. Such as DDT. See, now DDT is banned worldwide. Right? DDT has now been banned worldwide, but endosulfan, the Kasargod tragedy in Kerala and the South India, still the endosulfan has not been banned in India. Still has not been banned in India, right? That is part of, and the veterinary drugs here, medicine. Drugs such as diclofenac. All these are example which causes the biomagnification, bioconcentration, and this part of this. So many such chemicals are there, which when enters the food chain will affect drastically there. Will affect the drastically there. This Purvi, please read the definition what I have given here. Bioaccumulation, what I am writing here, that is the process by which it becomes a part of the living organism. They are all interconnected terms there. When it's a bioconcentration, you are talking about amount. How much amount will be lethal? How much amount will be toxic? We are talking about concentration. That is a bioconcentration. Right? And when I'm talking about accumulation, I'm talking about the process by which it gets stored in the tissues of the animals and the part of it. I have very clearly written on the whiteboard. Very clearly I have written on the whiteboard. I think it must be clear to you. Accumulation. Accumulation means assimilation. When you're referring the word accumulation, what does accumulation here means? Accumulation here means assimilation. Here we're talking about process by which a trophic level will get that toxic substance, right? Like DDT, it goes to the fatty tissues. Here I am talking about amount, concentration. Is it 1 microgram or 10 gram or 1 ppm? How much is the amount? Concentration part. And what is here biomagnification? in biomagnification is the increase in concentration across where? Across one level to the next. That's called magnification. Did you get the question? Purvi is asking the question. Here we are talking about the process of assimilation and becoming the part of the living system. Bioaccumulation. Whether that accumulation is higher or lower and where it accumulates. Here we are talking how much is the amount, concentration. The concentration may be sometime very high, beyond the threshold, which will be very toxic to the organism. It's a vulture, diclofenac concentration is higher, right? So that again depends on that concentration part. And here we are talking about increase in concentration from one to the next level across the food chain. How it increases? That is called biomagnification. Clear? Heavy metals, mercury, Minamata disease, cadmium, Itai disease, there is another disease in Japan. Arsenic, West Bengal, black foot disease, right? Chemical pesticide, BET, endosulfan, right? We will be studying about conventions. Later part in the classroom, I have not brought those areas. In later part, I will be teaching you convention, Stockholm Convention, Minamata Convention, Basel Convention. We will be covering in that classroom. That's what I yesterday said. Abhi picture baki hai dost. It's just the beginning. I have started very basic concept. अब बहुतों की हालत खराब हो गई है ना. आपके बैच में जैसे मैंने फूड चेन फूड वेब पिरामिड पढ़ाया, बहुतों की हवा उड़ गई. बताओ, a very fundamental level, very basic level what I taught in the classroom, you are not able to understand. So how would you understand the advanced concept? Guys, right, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, gear up. You are preparing for a UPSC exam. You are not preparing for a college exam or university exam. Right? This is the UPSC exam. I know, because I've been teaching for more than 15 years, I know there are many students, you know, they come for UPSC preparation, they pack their bag and out. They don't clear the exam, right? So I'm just trying to make you aware. Today, what I taught in the classroom, yesterday what I taught in the classroom, these are very, very starting level, ecological concept linked with ecosystem. And they are now not very relevant for the examination. Not very important for the examination now. I'm talking about present context in the UPSC prelims exam. There are other topics, which I said pollution, climate change, biodiversity, they have become more important. So, but again, you cannot leave any topic, right? A teacher like me cannot leave you like, no, I will teach only biodiversity, I will not teach the ecology. Does it happen there? It doesn't happen, no? When you have joined Vision IAS for the classroom program, so what is your expectation? That you must know everything. You shall be aware of the entire syllabus. That's why a teacher always start from a basic level and then build the advanced concept. Slowly I am going to the advanced concept. So that's why Stockholm Convention, Minamata Convention, Basel Convention, will be dealing that one. But first you have to understand all these basic areas. If you don't understand all these areas, how would you go with the higher concept? Right? Any question you have? Sana. Sana is asking a question. All saprophytes like fungi, mushroom, bread mold are decomposers. Yes. I want to know, are bacteria also classified as saprophytes? Or they are only decomposers? They are only decomposers. They are only decomposers. Saprophytes here means which break down the materials. But let's say, for example, a Sana question. Sana has asked a very good question here. Can bacteria be saprophytes? Like bread mold or fungi or mushroom, you know that. So let us understand here. So Let me go into that one. See, whenever you have doubt, no, always remember that. Whenever you find doubt, you have a Google as an assistant. You should always try to ask question. And I believe more you use internet, more you do the Google search and read from there, you will get more information, more knowledge, and that will help you clear the exam. Sana has asked a very important question, right? So now look at here. I am simply typing here, are bacteria saprophytes? From biological point, can we call them saprophytes? And sometimes, you know, people may ask, you may have a kind of a something called people may ask. When you do the Google search, you have a people may ask. Now look at here, this one, saprophytic bacteria, right? Saprophytic bacteria, like I'll show you that. Now it will come to your screen. What Sana has asked there, can bacteria be saprophytes? It will now come to your screen, right? Saprophyte means what? What is saprophyte? With the help of enzymes, they break down. Certain type of bacteria can be there. Like for example, this one. As the name suggests, saprophytic bacteria are bacteria that break down or decompose organic matter. See, sometimes they are used interchangeably. Decomposer or saprophytic words, they are used interchangeably. Right? Decomposer, see, decomposer means what? Those organisms which break down organic matter into simpler one. They are called decomposers. Bacteria and fungi are decomposers. What are saprophytes? Saprophytes are those organisms which break down the organic matter and absorb. They break down and absorb. Like fungi will break down the organic matter on a dead tree, dead leaves, and then absorb the nutrients, absorption of nutrients. Bacteria will also do that. Certain bacteria will break down organic matter using enzymes, and then they will absorb it, absorb the nutrients. So you see here, saprophytic bacteria are bacteria that break down or decompose organic matter. These organisms are capable of breaking down complex compounds like hemicellulose and lignin, right? Lignocellulosic or hemicellulosic materials coming from plant materials, among into simpler forms that they can then use or can be used by other organisms. Right? You have to understand which context the word saprophyte comes. In what context the word decomposer comes. Decomposers means those organisms which simply can break down. Saprophytes, they break down and they absorb the nutrients. Is it clear, Sana? Why I have done the Google search in now? I have done it because to just guide you. This you have to follow, this you have to resort. You have to develop this kind of habit of finding the answers and trying to learn from there. I know in your batch there are some over smart students. There are over smart students who are nuisance to the class, and they will pass irrational, unwanted comments. They don't. So that is very important. When you are in chat box, please consider the what you are writing on the chat box is being visible to a teacher, right? But there are some kind of shameless people in your batch. Right? I am just very clearly telling in the batch right now. Even after giving you so many instructions by the Vision IS management, you are misusing the response portal. Please avoid doing that. response portal has been given so that you can, in a one way, teacher can interact with you and can part of it. But you have made the response portal as your, WhatsApp group. Clear? Whatever doubts you have to ask, you please ask, put your doubts to the batch coordinator rather than putting on the chat box. I've clearly told that bacteria, they are decomposers. But there may be some type of bacteria which may decompose and take up the nutrient. Like particularly the lignocellulose, the example which comes there. Cellulosic materials, which can be broken down and can be absorbed. Right? They are used interchangeably, that's only. Bacteria can be saprophytic, bacteria can be photosynthetic, bacteria can be chemosynthetic. That depends on the mode of nutrition. What is something called mode of nutrition? Right? So, yes, you can use interchangeably. There is no problem in that. Okay, I will not reply to any question what you put across there. Otherwise, it will become like a kind of habit of asking question in the chat box. Please forward the question to the batch coordinator, and then it will come to me. All right. I hope you all understood whatever I taught in the classroom. So we'll stop the class here. Now your homework assignment. Your homework assignment is that discuss impacts of persistent pollutants on ecosystem. What is the question of today's class? Discuss impacts of persistent pollutants on ecosystem. Persistent pollutants on the impacts of persistent pollutants on ecosystem. Right? You have to give the examples in this question and you have to answer in 150 words. Less than 150 words, you have to answer this question. It's a 10 marks question there. Discuss impacts of persistent pollutants on ecosystems. Right? You have to write this particular homework question. That is a discuss impacts of persistent pollutant on ecosystem in 150 words, 10 marks question. Now the next class, let me tell you the topics. The topics of next class will be ecosystem productivity, ecological succession, biotic interaction. Right? Your third class will be also on ecosystem. Right? First few classes will be on the ecological concept. Once I am done with the ecological concept, then I'll move to the biodiversity part. So your third class will be ecosystem productivity, ecological succession, biotic interaction. All right? So thank you everyone. Good night. We'll meet in the next class there. Good night. Thank you.